Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 5 of the Game Groofs podcast, the all-encompassing weekly gaming podcast from the Goodnight Groofs. This week, we're shuffling things around a little bit. We're going to reorder some of the segments. We're taking out the true news segment that we had, non-comprehensive news, since we have the GG replay covering gaming news 3 days a week right now. So, but we'll still touch on some of this week's news in different ways. Game Groofs is still a work in progress here, so any and all feedback is welcomed and greatly appreciated. You can email us, gamegroofs@gmail.com. Leave it in YouTube comments if you're on the YouTube and not podcast feeds. Any way you can reach out to us. You could also become a patron at patreon.com/goodnightgroofs. And at the $1 tier, you can send us a message. But anyway.
And that's value.
Yes, that is value. Baby. But we'll get into that stuff later. My name is Matt. Today I'm joined by Mike, Josh, and Paul. The four of us are all back together again for the first time since episode 2. Guys, we're gonna start off a little bit differently. Instead of me just asking you how you're doing and the normal podcasting that you hear on every podcast, we're gonna go with something called Peak of the Week. Okay? Instead of just asking you guys how you're doing, I want to ask you what your peak of the week has been. Mike, what's the best thing that happened to you this week?
It's a toss-up between my nieces leaving 5 minutes ago so I could do this podcast and the lights coming on last night at 1 a.m.
True.
Because I didn't have power, so...
Remind us back, how long was that? What you didn't have power for? Was it 30 hours?
Yeah, probably 30, 32.
So, how was
it? Was fun.
Throw everything out of the fridge, or how's that situation going?
No, actually, most of our food is fine.
Oh, okay.
Our freezer in our refrigerator in the kitchen started leaking last night because it started thawing, but
Yep.
That was about at midnight, and then the power came back on. So
now, did you
good?
Now, did you try wrapping your power in a towel and red ring it? Okay, never mind. All right.
Man.
Is that an old Red Ring of Death reference?
Sure is.
That's a gamer joke.
You tried a towel trick?
Josh, what's your peak of the week? What was the best thing that happened to you this week?
I'm gonna steal from last week since I was on vacation. So wife and I went down to old Florida. Local Florida man goes to Florida. Shocking.
Yeah.
I got a beautiful smorgasbord of Gainesville, Florida beer that I haven't had in a year and a half, and I have desperately missed it. And it has been a wonderful blessing upon this house. Big Nose IPA from Swamp Head Brewery, baby. Inject that into my veins. I don't. It's probably not a good idea. But
really high BAC level. If you do.
Yeah.
Or what is that? That's right?
Yeah.
Blood alcohol.
Got to be the highlight though. That shit slaps.
Do you feel rejuvenated?
Absolutely. And if I drink too many, I probably won't feel rejuvenated.
Paul, what was your peak of the week? What was the best thing that happened to you this week, Paul?
Well, I have an answer, and I also have a question. So the first answer is I just saw. Some of you may know my dog passed away about a month ago. It's very sad. We were working through that, but there are a couple silver linings, like little things that we didn't have experienced before, and that is one of them is that there are a lot more bunnies and other wildlife in my backyard now because there's no dog chasing them away all the time, and I have a great view from my window right here, and so the mythical off-camera window, and I saw 2 bunnies just lounging around just a couple hours ago. They were eating some leaves and just having a gay old time, and that was pretty lovely. Rachel and I must have spent, I don't know, solid 10 minutes just like whispering and watching the rapids. So that was a pretty nice moment for my week. And that
whispering and watching.
That was a euphemism. No, whispering because we're upstairs, the window was closed, but we just thought they deserve a certain amount of respect and awe. You can't be talking too loudly about what you're seeing sometimes.
Very
Be sure to
nice.
respect your rabbits.
You gotta respect those rabbits.
And
Parents, throw them out. Rabbits, respect.
and part 2 here is a question, you said?
Part 2 was just a little question because we're asking peak of the week. Matt, and you can go ahead and give us your peak of the week, of course. But I just wanted to know, what's everyone drinking tonight? Does anyone have any interesting drinks?
Back on my diet. It's water.
Oh, God.
Oh.
Matt and I did this on GG Replay the other night. so
I'm
I
also
thought,
drinking water. It's called Bud Light.
Hey-o. I have some
I'm
shiny
drinking iced
apple
tea.
cider.
Very nice.
Shiny
very
apple
nice.
cider.
Mike with the
Cool.
tea. Good for podcasting.
Love that. Tea is great for a good podcast. And this show is sponsored by Detox Teas.
You
I
know,
only wish.
if anyone wants to, ask me what the best thing that happened to me this week was.
I said, go ahead, tell us. Yeah.
Okay, so
What am I hosting this for you?
just a little thing. It was, not too big. Just the Milwaukee Bucks winning the NBA Finals. Not a big deal or anything. No, it was massive. Been 50 years. Didn't think it was ever going to happen in my lifetime. So yeah, I was pretty fucking thrilled.
How old were you when that happened last time, Matt? Like, were you like what?
I was
your first job or
negative 20 years old.
Still resting firmly in your father's balls, roughly.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't know if his father was young enough, which he's not, but if he were, he could have been in his grandfather's
Yeah.
at that point.
I don't think it works like that.
I asked a transitive property. Yeah,
Or you and your grandmother at that point, and then everything. Anyway.
Anyway, moving on. All right, so instead of talking about my grandfather's balls,
That was all. That was what the show notes were today, dude. What are you talking about?
so as a way to acknowledge some news topics for the last week, without really getting into them too much, new segment called Trending Topics. So in Trending Topics, I'm going to give our panelists a choice between 3 search terms. They have to tell me which term they think got the most searches over the last 7 days via stats from Google Trends. We'll play 3 quick rounds. So, guys, you ready?
Let's go, baby.
Born ready. I love this game already.
All right, first, which got the most searches in the last 7 days? EA Play, Steam Deck, or Activision Blizzard?
Oh, that happened this week. Damn it.
See, I got to imagine Activision Blizzard and I got to imagine that's getting Google's every day, regardless of it being in the news. I'm gonna say Steam Deck. That's my answer.
I'm just gonna cast my line. I was gonna go Steam Deck, but just thinking about it, whatever. Activision Blizzard.
What was the first option?
EA Play.
There's no
No,
way.
I'm just looking that up.
I'm going Steam Deck.
Steam Deck it is.
Yeah.
And it really
Shit.
was not close.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Let me just take this L.
It's only been a day, to be fair. Not even 24 hours for the Activision Blizzard stuff.
Number 2. X Defiant, Ghost
Nope.
of Tsushima, or Hideo Kojima.
Oh, that's harder.
God, that's so hard.
It's like 2 okay things, and then like one
I'm going
really bad one.
I'm going Tsushima.
I'm gonna go Tsushima.
I'm going X Defiant.
Ghost of Tsushima.
All right.
Yeah. And the final one, breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
I'm going. Okay. I'm gonna base this off the fact that Zoomers and millennials are using the internet more often.
Yep.
And we care more about breakfast and lunch. And I gotta say, probably gonna go. Young people don't care about breakfast. You should. It's healthy. I'm going lunch.
I'm going lunch too. I really like that line of thinking. I think people are looking for something to get on Uber Eats or something. Yeah, I'm going lunch.
Yeah, lunch. I don't need to
So
explain
this
anymore.
one, this one was not even close. Like one just
Wow.
completely blew out the others. Okay,
Okay.
and it was breakfast.
Oh,
Wow.
Maybe
Really?
Josh, going along with your theory, Josh. Maybe Zoomers are trying to figure out what breakfast is. So they're googling to learn.
Got him. Alienating our demographic.
Really quick, what's everyone's favorite meal?
Oh man, you can't just spring that on a man.
Oh God.
Mine has
Jesus.
always been the same. It's always been lunch. I love lunch so much more than the others.
Yeah, I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I'm just gonna say lunch. Yeah, lunch.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all answered lunch for a reason because our bias is that we love lunch. So I'm going lunch.
Yep.
No, breakfast.
Oh,
This is a
interesting.
great one.
There we go.
It'd be my second choice for sure.
That'd be my second choice too.
Dinner is
Dinner's
always full and
Brunch
disgusting.
is like
Yeah.
peak, so
yeah, brunch is peak and dinner's just degenerate.
Brunch is amazing.
I wonder if I had added a fourth term brunch. I have to imagine it would have finished last just because it's
I don't know.
the
Brunch is
less
popular
used
as a
term.
word. People like saying brunch.
Yeah, I went to brunch.
True. All
I
right.
went to brunch. I was in line for 3 hours for brunch.
And I got
it
absolutely
was worth it.
In line for by the
Off the
time
bottom
you're
of samosas.
at the end of the line,
That's true.
then it's late lunchtime.
Up until 2
Yeah.
p.m. You're out.
All right, let's move on. So we're moving on now to the big question. All right.
Oh boy.
Blizzard has existed since 1991 when it was founded as Silicon and Synapse by Mike Morheim, Alan Adham, and Frank Pierce. Since then, they've developed a ton of beloved games like Diablo 2, StarCraft, Warcraft 3, World of Warcraft, and many others. Over the years, the company has changed in various ways. Activision and Vivendi, Blizzard's previous parent company, merged in 2008. In 2013, Activision bought up the rest of Blizzard and became totally independent as Activision Blizzard. Many have made the claim that the quality of Blizzard games has dropped considerably since those moves, ultimately culminating in the widely panned release of Warcraft 3 Reforged last year. Now, earlier this week, we learned that the state of California is suing Blizzard over what they're calling a frat boy culture that includes alleged sexual harassment, employment discrimination, and retaliation on the part of Activision Blizzard. Blizzard has since put out a statement saying that these accusations do not accurately represent the company today and that the allegations are distorted and false. Now, I don't want to get too much in the weeds on this week's specific happenings, as these are alleged legal matters and there's a lot that needs to play out, and we can talk about that in the future when that happens. But that leads me to this week's big question. What exactly happened to Blizzard, and where did it go wrong? Can the company that we all once loved be fixed, or is it time to give up and move on? Kind of a two-part question there. Let's go to Mike first.
All right. Let's start with the first one. Where did it go wrong? Most of our viewers probably don't know this, but I work at a really large, old corporation. And the situation at Blizzard, whether or not it is all true or not, there has to be some inklings of truth to it. There wouldn't be a lawsuit from California if there wasn't.
Especially after a 2-year investigation. I think
Right.
really-
They're not going to waste
Yep.
funds on
Yeah.
that. The culture there reminds me of like the way that old companies and large corporations used to run back in like the 70s.
Yeah, good point.
And like people used to be drinking at work, people used to have a liquor drawer, like that used to be a thing and it was normal, and you know, people were accepting of it. And the game industry is like really young, and I'm not surprised that it's behaving this way. What I am surprised is like how long it's been going on for, because this doesn't happen overnight and it doesn't just spring up. So it's like, how does that, you know, how do they make stuff is basically what I'm asking. From the article, it sounds like they just have all the women do all the work,
Yep.
which is just horrendous
Yep.
in itself. But like, I don't know. I look at like my job, and if someone was just like drunk at work, they'd be fired. If someone was literally not doing their job, they'd be fired. Like,
Yep.
it's not. I think the industry itself is too young. I think a company like Blizzard got big really fast, and it didn't go through. This is its growing period, right? So that kind of segues into the second part. Do I think it can be fixed? Yeah, I think it can it requires clean house. It requires a complete overhaul from some form of HR officer. But like, I don't think it. You could throw it into the trash and say it's done, and I know a lot of people are going to probably do that from a consumer standpoint, especially with something like entertainment. It's very easy to switch to a different product and say, screw you, I'm not using your product anymore. Do I think the company as a whole is just like rotten to the core? No, I'm sure there are plenty of Blizzard employees that are good people, that are good employees, that are, have ethical bones in them. And if they overhaul the company, they can make it work. They can fix it. It's just gonna take a while. The lawsuit might speed up things, but it's going to take a very long time for culture to shift so drastically. And I'll put it on the fridge. I don't think Blizzard's the last company we're going to hear about this from.
I would agree.
At all.
Mike, I thought
It's not the first.
what you said about like the culture of the workplace in like the 60s and 70s, that was a really, really good point, because this actually, what this sounds a lot like is like the Atari in the 80s. They had similar stuff going on, where it was just like a madhouse, like no rules, like absolutely wild.
Yeah.
So it is really weird that sort of thing. It's hard for me to comprehend, because I could never imagine working at a place where that kind of stuff is happening. Like it's so wildly unprofessional. I would be upset for a lot of reasons, but I would be upset because I'm like I'm trying to do my work and trying to get stuff done here. Like, what is everyone else is just not doing their job? It's bothering me. Like that would really bother me. But I have other thoughts. We'll come back to me later. Josh, what are you thinking here?
Where did it go wrong? I mean, I think a lot of it does harken back to the fact that it's just new. But I mean, Blizzard's been around for so long, and it's for the longest time had all these personalities built up around it. I mean, I do think there's other companies naturally that had other personalities around it, but WoW was such a ridiculous goddamn entity and like what it was and what it created, that even the developers like behind it became these like big personalities. And with those big personalities, more than likely came an ego and upper management unwillingness to touch them if they did anything remotely fucked up. Even, showing, what little bit there was about, not to get too weeded here, but one of the main ones is Alex Afrasiabi, like with what came out with him, and even he just got a slap on the wrist, just to give you one example. And I think more what I'm interested in seeing is what's going to happen at this point after those egos, are slowly being filtered out and leave the company, which I think is pretty clearly happening. I don't know, for example, with Jeff Kaplan leaving, if that's going to be some kind of an indicator of anything he's been involved with, or if it's just product of old blood moving out, new blood moving in. Same with Metzen. Was he involved at all? I really hope not. How much did Mike Morheim know? Who knows? And I mean, I'm sure a lot of this is going to come later down the line. These are just, what we know right now with everything that's out currently. But I think that old blood is really what drove them to this point, and a lack of accountability, because they've been there for so long. Who the fuck's going to question them? No one.
Right.
And I mean, that also kind of segues into the next point, where I think this is going to be the chance where WoW may actually finally rebound and be fucking good again. May take one more expansion, may take a bit of weeding out and kicking some of these people out. But we've had the same game director since like Warlords of Draenor with Ian Hazacostas, or I can't remember, it might have been Legion. I don't know the exact time period. Like, we see where the game is headed. Are we going to be able to push past this and maybe get some fresh blood in there that can maybe put some new ideas and not be so dedicated to one built system in the way? As awful and terrible as as clearly it is, I sort of think, in the end, as awful and horrible as current Activision Blizzard, is, but bear in mind, there's definitely still good people there. But I mean, given the current scenario, they're on thin ice. I think there's a chance if they can weed out the god awful people, get new blood in there, instill an actual culture in there, not one that they're just, to my mind, is just frankly bullshit, they could actually probably get back to producing Blizzard quality games again, and it might be a good thing as far as the games go. Obviously, it's awful and fucking horrible, but it could be an end result that may come after all this is gone through and the legal process has occurred. It's just it's a mess, and I hate to see it because Blizzard is one of probably my favorite. I mean, WoW has been a profound gaming like venture in my life since freaking 2008. So it's like hard to kind of disconnect from that. Like, do I play WoW now? Or like, am I allowed to? Or do I just unsub and say fuck you guys? I don't know. I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but I hope they rebound from it, but I also hope that it all kind of, I don't know what I'm trying to say, comes out in the wash, and the people that were doing fucked up shit get kicked out of the company. Just get them gone.
You made a really good point. I thought about how, with the explosion of WoW and just with a product of that being ballooning egos, because you see so often in other industries as well, like these people with these egos that feel like they're untouchable can do whatever they want, and that's what leads to a lot of this sort of behavior. They were probably crappy people to begin with, but they are enabled by like these egos. Paul, what about you? Let's hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep it short. I'll try to keep it short. I was just before this reading some of the Polygon had a good article. I was reading some articles about how there's a lot of players protesting right now in WoW and Oribos with the entire basis that a lot of people canceled their subs, but they're sub locked. They still have paid time, so they thought, hey, we have paid time. Let's get in there and we'll say something when we have it. And it's people are doing a lot of what we're doing right now, which is just trying to vent their feelings and work through this. I think a lot of us knew that there were issues at Activision Blizzard, but to see what we've seen, to read the allegations, it's pretty disgusting stuff. I mean, I'll say I personally am pretty disgusted. I've canceled my sub. I don't plan at this point to buy any further Blizzard games. And this also helped me double down on some other bad practices. I'm going to stop playing any Riot products. I don't know. I know my huge consumer change won't make a big difference, but it's just good to remember that there's human beings making this stuff, and we shouldn't keep supporting it. But that's my soapbox. But what went wrong with Blizzard? I mean, it's hard. I would have had a very different answer if you'd asked me yesterday. Honestly, at this point, it's hard for me to say that this isn't just the most disgusting, terrible practices. I mean, I think Josh, you nailed it. You hit the nail on the head, and that's exactly what I've seen a lot of people talking about is these egos. I've seen unverified but former Blizz devs, Blizz employees coming out on Reddit on their forums, kind of saying, "Hey, listen, like that's what happened. These guys were old Blizz, and Activision bought them out, and these were untouchable. They didn't want to touch the talent. They didn't want to touch the people who were like these original heroes of Blizzard." And so, they could get away with a lot. And whether it's they or whether if it's just Alex and other people that we don't know as much, that's one thing. But I have to say, and I think it's important to be said, that I think a lot of people, especially higher ups, it's hard for me to imagine they weren't somewhat complicit in a way. We see these stories about Alex Afrasiabi saying, saying multiple of his peers and supervisors were pulling him off of women or pulling him off of people at BlizzCon. I mean, who's to say that's not Chris Metzen or Jeff Kaplan? And then, did these guys blow the whistle? No. Am I saying that they did anything? I mean, I don't know. Who's to say? I'm not saying they are. But I think that's pretty terrible too. And I think imagining being, a woman or anyone in this scenario, but especially in this scenario, a woman who's feeling so trapped, who's feeling so, these crawls are coming through your cube, and you look to, let's say, a high Blizzard dev who maybe isn't doing that, but they say, "Good night, see you tomorrow," and they leave. I think that's pretty bad too. And so for me, that's really hit me a lot, thinking about, even if other people weren't doing it. I think just from the talks of this, it sounds like it was extremely pervasive in Activision Blizzard, especially the WoW team. And it's hard to imagine that people were not just turning a blind eye. It's hard to imagine that a lot of senior staff weren't aware of this happening. And I say for smaller devs and people working there and smaller programmers, I mean, what are you going to do? But I think for some of the higher ups, it's tough. I think for the smaller people, they're just trying to keep their life together, and it's tough too. So I think for me, I mean, it's hard to say, but I mean, it just sounds like however far back this kind of behavior started, if this was from the beginning or not, I think that's when Blizzard lost it. I mean, obviously, you can have a big conversation about, another day, I think, where we talk about all the things they've done wrong in a corporate stance or in a game development stance, but it's really hard for me to imagine going forward being supportive. And I think this chaos probably definitely contributed to, the quality of games. Least important thing. And finally, just to say, can they bring it back? I mean, like Mike said, you can clean house, and you can really clean things up. But I'm going to stop short and just say that I don't think they'll do that. I don't think we're losing J. Allen Brack, or I don't think we're going to see any change or any real word from Bobby Kotick. I don't think anyone's looking to really change things up. We'll see, like we've seen on Twitter, people talking about sacrificial lambs. We'll see Afrasiabi get dunked on. I mean, obviously the lawsuit's going to bring out a lot of things, and there might be people they have to cut, but I don't think they're going to make cuts they don't have to. So I don't know. I'm basically assuming the worst to Blizz at this point, and surprise me. I'm open to seeing real change, but I'd be pretty surprised.
Paul, you
also apologies for saying I'll keep this short because I didn't.
Paul, I think one of the things that you said was really stood out to me, in that I think a good theory is that the quality of the games started to drop when maybe this sort of stuff really started to ramp up, because culture equals quality, and in many cases, not every case, it's not always the same, but I think culture really does impact quality a ton. If you don't have everyone on the same page and everyone caring about each other and caring about the product that they're working on, then that's going to impact the quality of the product. One thing, Paul, that I'm going to respond to that you said, just like playing devil's advocate, and everyone can protest in their own ways and do whatever they feel is fit, and with you choosing not to purchase more Blizzard games, totally cool. What do you think about the idea that making that decision could also impact those lower devs on these teams, right? Because a lot of these guys, the big cheeses, they've already made their money, right? But a lot of these devs working on, these smaller, lower level devs, if the product isn't selling, they're going to be the ones to pay the price often.
Sure.
What do you think about that?
I think that's a fair point, and I think it should be definitely pointed out. I think good point, and I think it's important to consider the developers and the programmers and I'm not going to list every job title, but anyone who's working who isn't the head honchos and the ones making bonuses. I think that's important. However, I'd like to stand out and say I think that a lot of these people probably don't want to be working in this environment, and if they do, well, fuck them, quite frankly. And if they don't want to work in this environment, then I think it's just helpful to hit those sales numbers too, and maybe this will hit the head honchos. I'm not saying I'm a big, I don't think consumer boycotts are always the most effective thing that's ever happened, but it's what I can do at this moment. But yeah, that being said, I think if that makes an impact that might make a change to Blizzard, great. And that'll make the life better for them and their corporate work life. But also, I don't want to sound heartless, but I think there's other jobs, and I'd also want those people to be able to work somewhere. It just sounds like a terrible place to work, and I get wanting to, as someone who's goes from job to job all the time, and I get feeling like you're locked in a place, and you can't leave because you're going to lose everything, but. I don't know. To be honest, also, I just don't think like that falls on me for not buying a game, but it's tough.
Oh yeah,
it's tough.
I just wanted to play devil's advocate to get the conversation.
No, I get it. Yeah, and I mean, I think ultimately, I'd rather see Blizz go down and those people work in a better environment than not.
As far as answering the question, like, can it be fixed? It's like, it's weird because if you clean house, then it's. If you get rid of people who are offenders in this situation, that's great. you should do that. But then it's also the people who created these games partly
Right.
are gone. So
How many of these games that we loved were birthed because of, a toxic culture? I mean, we don't know at all.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that out there. How many? I mean, maybe that's what made it good,
so
which
then,
is horrible.
So then it's almost like, is it still Blizzard then? Like, is it? But like that's a good thing, but it's also not going to be the same products, I guess. So it's like it's just a weird question to ask and to think about. But yeah, any final thoughts before we move on? This is probably one of the heavier topics we'll ever have on this show.
I think it's going to be one of the biggest shakeups in the gaming industry we see in a long, long time because Blizzard is so big. I don't really know what to expect, but hopefully for the people who are wrong, that at least whatever recompense can come for them.
Yeah, I mean, if everything in the report is true, then like this
Exactly.
stuff like this has happened at other places. Like Paul mentioned, Riot, stuff like this has happened at Ubisoft. I mean, unfortunately, when you have a company that has thousands of employees, this sort of thing unfortunately will happen at times. But then you look at these reports with Activision Blizzard, this is way worse than any of the other stuff we've ever seen. So if this stuff is true, then yeah, this is by far the worst. So yeah, it's going to be something that the entire industry is going to be keeping their eye on and seeing what happens. All right, let's move on. Let's lighten the mood a little bit. Let's move on to a mini game here. You guys want to play Name That Game?
Yes, please.
Unless it's
yeah.
a Blizzard game.
It's Diablo 3, baby.
So that's all the games on Name That Game are Activision Blizzard games.
We got, I went through Lost Vikings. I went through
Yeah.
Diablo. Yeah, okay.
Oh yeah,
Why they were lost. They
Yeah.
couldn't
rock and roll racing. Please.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, in Name That Game, I give the panelists up to 10 clues. The clues start off more vague and progressively get more specific. The first panelist to guess correctly wins. You only get one guess, though. If you're wrong, you're out. All right. We take game title suggestions from our $1 plus supporters over on Patreon at patreon.com/goodnightgroofs. So if you get in there, you get the $1 plus tier. You can send us a message with your suggestion, and it might show up on the show next week because no one has sent one in yet. I'm looking at you, Ishmael and Rachel. All right. Here we go. First clue. This game has appeared on 2 different consoles. This game has received 2 DLC packs. This game is part of a series that dates back to 1986. This game received a prequel from a separate development team. Where are we at right now? How are we feeling about this?
Is it Breath of the Wild?
It is. It's Breath of the Wild. Wow.
What the fuck?
What?
How in the shit did you get that?
It's Breath of the Wild.
So I'll tell you what. I'll explain my logic here. Matt said 2 different consoles, and that really got me thinking. And I thought, what is only on 2 consoles? And then I thought something that might bridge. I thought Switch and Wii U bridge, and then the 1986 thing, and that really.
Wow.
Oh, the 1986 clue, Zelda. You son of a bitch.
But it was really
Wow.
it was really the 2 console thing really gave me something, and then the 1986 confirmed.
Damn.
That was
Well,
way
well.
earlier than I expected. So, couple.
Well played.
I'll just go through the rest of the clues.
Name that game. But
I'll go through the rest of the clues because I spent time writing this.
a bunch of these.
So you're gonna fucking hear them regardless. All right. A sequel to this game is currently being developed.
Oh, Breath of the Wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
This game was first teased in 2013 and revealed in 2014.
Oh, easily Breath of the Wild.
This game
Yeah, for
sold
sure.
1.7 million units on the Wii U. This game first released in 2017. This game holds a score of 97 on Metacritic, and then of course my cheeky final clue. This game provided a breath of fresh air for longtime fans of the series.
Or a lot of broken
stinky
weapons.
breath of fresh air.
Jeopardy, hire me. All right.
Oh my god. Yeah, that sounded like that was definitely a an Alex Trebek like clue. I really hear it.
Yeah.
It was good.
Just shave everything but the mustache, Matt, and then you can really get this game show going.
There you go.
Exactly.
There you go. All right, let's move on to the water cooler. Let's take a quick break. Let's get up from our desks. Not actually, don't do that.
Oh.
Let's head over to the water cooler and discuss the games that we have been playing this week. Paul, sit your ass down.
Just stretching. I'm just stretching.
Josh, what have you been playing this week?
Well, this is rather unfortunate.
StarCraft 2.
So I did want to give 9.1 another shot. I played a little bit of WoW. I enjoyed the world content for what it was, and it was fine. But I haven't played just it. Been playing Outer Worlds again. Final Fantasy. Just kind of switching between those two. On stream, I played a lot of Bloodborne actually.
Oh yeah.
Holy shit! I forgot how much fun that game is. God, I've played Dark Souls 3 and it frustrated me to no end. Like, I'm not awful at Dark Souls 3, but it just frustrated me beyond belief. Bloodborne, though, you can be an erratic maniac and fight with no care in the world, and it rewards you for it, and it's so much fun. So if anyone hasn't played Bloodborne, please play it. It's so fun, and I'm only like 2 bosses in, and I'm already reminded how much fun that game is.
So about a month ago, I put a poll on Twitter for people to help me pick my next game, and Bloodborne was one of those options, and it kind of ran away with the win. I did try it. I did give it about 2 or 3 hours, and I'm bad at video games.
That's exactly it.
No, it was like I was doing okay. My issue was like I just got so lost. Like, first off, right off the bat, like I think you're supposed to die on that first fight. You're supposed to, right? Okay. Yeah. It took me forever to figure out how to get out of the graveyard. I was like, is this it? Am I done playing the game because I can't figure out how to get out of the graveyard?
Every Souls game is kind of like that.
Okay, I was in there for, I shit you not, for like 45 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
And then
that's a little long.
So I figured it out. I ended up progressing a little bit, and then I was just like, this just isn't for me. It's just not for me. I get why people like it. I totally get it. It's just like, I was gonna bash my head against the wall the entire way, so I was just like,
it's for people like Mike who play their games on the hardest difficulty, or people who at least want to be like that.
Yeah.
No, I got lost in the graveyard also when I first played it, and I've only played 2 or 3 hours of it. I haven't played that much, but like even Dark Souls 3, when I was streaming it, I got to Firelink Shrine, and I was like, where am I supposed to go? Because there's nowhere to go. You're supposed to teleport out, but no one tells you that, so you just sit there.
Yeah, there's like the thing is like there's no map, right? So like,
God, you guys want so much hand holding in these games. Good lord.
Yeah, you know what?
Some direction.
0 minutes in any Soulsborne game.
It's something you're supposed to know.
Yeah, I guess inherently. Mike, what have you been playing this week?
So I played some Scrabble with my mom yesterday in the dark. It was great.
Nice. Did you win?
Yeah, no, I won both times.
Does anyone win Scrabble?
Yeah, get it, Mom.
Does anyone really win?
I got to play 2 7-letter words twice, so yeah, it was pretty brutal.
Shout out to my dad.
anyways.
He kicks my ass at Scrabble every time we play, and I have an English degree. So, Mike, continue.
New World. I played that
And
a little bit.
It's a glowing recommendation.
That's basically my recommendation. Is I played it.
You know, it's funny because I was going to mention it because I knew that you guys at least tried it this week, and I was going to say, like, you know, I've sort of been playing it on and off for like the last year or so, so I didn't really want to go into it too much myself. I really wanted to hear your impressions, the impressions from you guys, and obviously Mike, not the biggest fan.
I forgot I played it.
Oh,
I know
Jesus.
we were supposed to play it together.
I'm
and then my
shocked.
power went out.
I'm honestly shocked. I really thought that you guys were gonna take to it more than you have.
So I actually have an opinion about that, but yeah, I'll let Mike.
I didn't dislike it. I just feel like it's very shallow. And maybe that's right now, and maybe it's because it's an infantile MMO. Because I'm thinking back to like when I first started Guild Wars 2 when it was first released, and Guild Wars 2 vanilla was kind of shit. There was no end game. There was no real like direction of what you're supposed to do once you finish the story and once you got your level 80 gear. And then they slowly rolled it out, and they're like, "Look, we gave you another tier of weaponry, etc." I'm gonna stop talking about Guild Wars 2 now. But like, I entered this game and I'm like, it was weird. When I played when I went through the combat, firstly, the tutorial cut out really weirdly. After the first boss, I was like, is this a finished tutorial and cutscene or whatever?
I will say that the tutorial's been the exact same way for like the last year.
Okay.
So aside from some controls changed, so they changed that, but
yeah. But like you have a light attack, you have a heavy attack, you have a block and a dodge. Maybe the combat gets more complex later, but for me, it just felt like I left click until it's dead and then move on. I didn't really use block. I used dodge occasionally just because I remembered I had it, but like it felt like there was something missing because there was like no weight to your attacks. Like it plays like a third person action role play game, but like in an action RPG like Odyssey or Phoenix Rising, when you attack foes, there's like weight to your attacks. You stagger them or something. In this, they continue with their animation, and it's just kind of weird. There's no weight there. And then I like got a rapier. I was like, oh, maybe I can parry things. No? Oh, okay. I guess I have a rapier. Neat. I think the game itself, because I watched some streams of it. I watched Asmongold play it. I think it'd be really fun with a group of 3 or 4 people roaming around, setting up camps, ambushing people, etc., doing World v World stuff that is very akin to the Guild Wars 2 World v World that I'm used to. At one point, Asmongold rallied an army and zerged over an area. I was like, that's hilarious. It looks like a great time, and I think it's a neat kind of basis for a game. I don't see this as much fun as a solo adventure, but I will continue playing it for a little bit, but we'll see.
I think it's interesting what you said about the combat, because maybe it's just because I play so many MMOs, but I feel like the combat is actually super impactful and weighty for an MMO. But I understand what you're saying. I think the whole what you're talking about, I think, is just generally an MMO limitation.
There's kind of like a desync, and it's kind of, you get animation locked a lot, and it just kind of feels like you'll hit something and it won't actually register. That I get that feeling, but I agree with you, Matt, that the weight it feels real. Like going from playing with like a warhammer to from a normal sword feels heavy.
Yeah, I expected Elder Scrolls Online, and I will say the combat was a little more weighty and than floaty than like Elder Scrolls, so I did like that. But I will agree, the shift in block mechanics just kind of felt like they were just kind of there if you want them. But
I think that as you progress, as you level up, that gets a little bit more advanced. But yeah, early on, I will say over time, the early game has gotten easier. I don't know if that fully translates to the rest of the game, like as you level up in end game and stuff like that, but the early parts of the game have gotten easier throughout development. Paul, what'd you play this week? Aside from New World.
Well, I'll start off and say New World because I haven't really said much about it.
Yeah.
I did play a bit of New World. And unfortunately, New World is the kind of game that just really made me realize the limitations of my ancient computer. Actually, it might be getting a new computer soon. I'm feeling like it's time, and not being able to play games like this and talk about them is kind of detrimental to wanting to do the podcast. So
Steam
I'm thinking
Deck,
about
baby.
upgrading. Yeah, Steam Deck. Well, I can't wait. So we'll see. But yeah, I might get in the old upgraded gaming world. But until then, I will say I'm kind of sad because I feel like I was the one who actually most liked New World. I played at 10 frames per second on the lowest possible resolution and the lowest possible frame rate. Everything was bad. Everything was down. I had a great time. It's too bad it looked like crap because I had a good time, but it was making my eyes hurt, so I had to shut it down. I was trying to remember what it was like to play WoW on like my 19-inch CRT monitor back in 2004 at like 8 frames per second, and it doesn't work as well in 2021. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really like the action combat as someone who doesn't really have a lot of experience playing like Soulsborne games and things that actually have good combat, things that feel like they connect. You know, this compared to WoW or something that I'm used to playing in an MMO was really cool for me. I thought the world felt really good. It was cool to see so many people around, even though they dropped my frames from a beautiful 11 down to an 8. And it was cool. It was fun to try setting up a camp, and I like I think the quests are kind of repetitive, but there were some interesting ones. I like being able to kind of roam around, and it was a cool game. I wish I could have put in more than about a half hour before my eyes kind of desynced, but it was cool. I definitely think I'll come back to it in the future when I have some gear capable of playing it. It actually maybe what it made me do was I've downloaded and about to get back into Guild Wars 2, I think, a little bit. Just because I want to play an MMO, just not play WoW, but also play an MMO that even before that just has slightly more engaging combat and engaging systems. So I'm actually going to try to get back into Guild Wars 2, especially because I know that runs okay on my computer, so I can get by. So I think that's going to be, so next week I'll have something to talk about that. But until then, I wish I could play New World because I actually think I was I'm the target casual audience for it. And also, I also just played a lot of Fortnite, so that was it. Nothing crazy. I just played like way too much Fortnite. Just kind of sat here in my chair, just continuing to ready up, and it was a fun time.
Any
I'm stuck on the grinding mill, man.
any victory royales in there?
Oh, actually a ton. I think it's broken because I'm winning all the time, and that can't be right.
Is it the start of a new season?
No, it's not, and I'm like level 50 something, and I'm winning
weird.
like
so
every
it's
other
not
game.
all bots then.
So here's the thing. So my like 8-year-old nephew was playing on my account a lot last week, and but I thought that maybe put me in a different. No, but he's better than I am.
Oh,
So I'm not sure. But I just feel like no one's building when I play, and my aim's really good. I feel like I'm not trying to brag. I just like I'm winning a lot, and I don't really understand why. But anyway, because it's happening so often, I'm singing the song a lot, the Chug Jug song, and I'm having a great time sitting by myself in my room. My girlfriend thinks I'm a bit of a loser, but having a great time.
so I also played a little bit of New World, very little, just because I've already played the beginning stuff so much. But I will progress if you guys continue playing. Played more Ghost of Tsushima. I fully cleared the first island. There are 3 islands until next month when there will be Iki Island, so a 4th. But I'm on to Island 2 now. One thing I didn't expect the environments to look so different in Island 2. Like, I thought that all 3 islands were really mostly going to look the same, but they really changed it up. Like, Island 2 has these swampy areas, these really beautiful areas with, like, a bunch of different colored flowers. There's more, like, dense, almost like jungle type areas. Like, there's just more, there's different stuff going on, and it's awesome to see. I was not expecting that. So that's been a very welcomed sight. I have the whole weekend free finally this week, so I'll be playing more and maybe even finishing up the second island. So we'll see about that. I'll report back next week on that. But I really I'm enjoying the game, but it's also like kind of want to move on. I want to get to Plague Tale Innocence pretty soon here. I've been wanting to play that game forever. I waited until it was free and free as the PlayStation 5 version, which is crazy. So I'm really excited about that. Also, quick random side note, but it's just because I just remembered. If you have a PlayStation 5, right now you can get 6 months of Apple TV Plus for free. So go do that. I just did that today. I'll be watching Mythic Quest and Ted Lasso at some point.
Yeah, those are the only 2 shows I'm interested in watching on there too. And I just got a new iPhone, so I'm psyched to check out specifically just those 2 shows. But I'm very excited.
Nice. And then another. Okay, so this is kind of weird. But a special shout out to AFK Arena, and it's not an ad, I swear.
I wish it was an ad.
I wish as well. AFK Arena, we are open for conversation.
Definitely.
But I haven't mentioned it yet, but I've played this game almost every single day for 2 years.
Are you still? I thought you stopped playing it like a year ago.
No, I'm still playing it.
Wow.
It's an easy mobile idle fighter gacha game.
What's your main team right now?
I honestly don't even know the hero, the names.
You don't know the heroes' names? I was really into the heroes when I played.
Henrik
You got
and
me
Lucius
obsessed.
are
Lucius is key.
two of them. Hold on, I'm opening it right now. I gotta pick up my my
I just
treasure
feel like
chest
if there's
anyway.
any-
It's been 12 hours.
I feel like if there's any fans out there, they'd like to hear what your rock.
Yeah,
your
I'll tell
meta
you.
is.
So I kind of
All
just
three of them.
Hey, this is a popular game, my friend.
You know, I kind of just roll with one group that I kind of overpower. So we got Lucius, we got Belinda, we got Estrilda, we got Athalia, and then we got Hendrik. And those are the five
basically
that I'm
the
rocking
meta.
with.
Basically the meta. I think Hendrik and Felder are a little bit different, but basically the meta.
That-
I know you always have to have.
Anyway,
You guys are crazy. This game's huge.
but yeah, I mean, it's one of those games like you really don't like. You can play free to play, and it's totally fine. Like you don't have to pay anything.
I got a little frustrated playing free to play. I had
have to
some
be
pretty
patient.
big roadblocks.
You have to be patient. It takes time. I mean, I've been playing for 2 years. It takes time.
And you too can be like me. I got a Lamborghini in my garage, and I've been playing for 2 years. And if you want to get to where I am,
Now, I will say, I haven't spent anything on it in the last year, but in the first year, I probably did put like $50 in. But like,
that's a lot. That's pretty good though.
like
I think
how many hours have I put in this
Yeah.
thing? And for $50, not bad.
I think a lot of people don't consider that. I mean, obviously there's a lot of whales, but I think there's a lot of people who never ever purchase anything in a mobile game or a free to play game. And I think you're missing out. Like if you're someone who really has been putting in, and you look back and you went, oh, I've been playing for 100 hours and I'm at like a little bit of a block. Spend a little bit of money, like get yourself. Don't go crazy, but you know.
It is
a little
funny
bit of
though
money.
because like
It's worth it.
the whale, like the people at the top of the leaderboard have been there for 2 years, so it's like this. Like these people are just dropping so much money in this game every week. It's crazy, like to just keep up and stay on top of the leaderboards. That is not me. I don't really care where I am. My guild is also like weirdly friendly. I've never talked to anyone in the guild, but they'll randomly send mail to everyone in the guild and just being like, remember, somebody loves you. It's like, this is strange, but thank you.
Thank you, AFK Arena GF.
One was like, don't forget to smile today. It's like, this is so strange, but also
kinda
really
weird.
really wholesome. And then like,
Don't
yeah.
forget, you're prettier when you smile, Matt. How did you know? How did you know?
I couldn't even tell you the name of the guild that I'm in. I just picked it so that I can participate in guild hunts.
And
So,
guild events, yeah.
right.
Well, you know what? This podcast is brought to you by AFK Arena. AFK and chill.
yeah.
AFK and
Anyway,
chill.
time for our sponsorship. Raid Shadow Legends. No.
Oh, if only if we could get on that sweet raid money. I tell
Oh,
ya.
talk about AFK Arena. They just go, hey, yo, Raid, what's up?
Also, not a terrible game.
No, it was fun.
I played it for like maybe 2 days, but there's merit there. I will say that.
Beautiful game for a moment.
Anyway, we just lost all credibility, so let's move on to Claim
Got me
a Game.
fucked up.
In Claim a Game, I give our panelists a choice between 2 games and ask them which one sold better or which one scored higher reviews. They have to claim one of the games. Review scores are taken from Metacritic and based on the best scoring platform. We'll play 8 rounds. The panelists can make the same claims, but whoever made more correct answers at the end wins. Keep track of your own scores because now it's 3, so just keep track of how many you won.
Really?
And we'll talk at the end.
I don't trust you, Mike.
Me?
Yeah, you. Are you saying someone else is untrustworthy? How dare you say that about Josh?
I'm probably made that.
We take matchup suggestions for Claim a Game from our $1 plus supporters on Patreon at patreon.com/Goodnight Groofs, where you can message us your suggestion.
All that value, we love it.
All right, here we go. Which game sold more units? The Sims or Need for Speed Underground?
The Sims.
I'm gonna go with The Sims.
Yeah.
You gonna be a sheep there, Mike, or are you gonna be a wolf?
Man.
That is the sound a sheep makes.
Need for Speed Underground sold 15 million. The Sims, 16 million. Barely. I was shocked to find that Need for Speed Underground sold 15 million
I am also
copies.
shocked. Yeah.
Bro's lit.
Yeah, I'm shocked.
That is
It was
crazy.
pretty in the culture though. That makes sense now looking back.
I loved that game. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, higher score: Digimon All Star Rumble or PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale.
Digimon had a battle royale.
Digimon for sure. I'm going Digimon.
I'm gonna go PlayStation.
Digimon.
Can I just say before this that I think Matt threw this in just to weed out who wasn't excited for PlayStation All Stars. It's definitely going to win, but I
Or
still think
or
it's
was I
Digimon.
trying to weed out who wasn't excited for Digimon? Because
Yeah,
either
that's
way,
fair.
You
fair.
found him.
no Digimon slander will be accepted on this podcast, just so we're clear. All right. Digimon All-Star Rumble scored a 49. PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale scored 75. So PlayStation wins.
That was not close. I guess the first time in the history of this game that was not close.
Yeah.
And it almost was like you were giving us the answer, but I still felt like I had to say Digimon.
Out of principle.
Embrace the meme.
I can't let you have that.
More units sold. Spore or Marvel's Avengers?
Spore.
Oh no. Units sold, I think a lot of people got scammed. I'm saying Spore for sure, yeah.
Man, you got
There's
the name
no
right.
way it's Marvel's Avengers. I'm going Spore.
I think before Marvel's Avengers came out, everyone knew it was going to be bad, but people still thought Spore might be good. So
So Marvel's Avengers recently passed Spore, 3 million to 2.8 million. What I will say is Marvel's Avengers had a really good opening week where it sold a lot, and then people found out because of that it was trash, and then no one else bought it. So that's what happened there.
I think the issue with Spore is that like a lot of people, totally not me, just downloaded it for free.
Yeah.
I got the Creature Creator, and that was enough
Well,
for me. I
here-
had a good time with that. Does that count?
And
as sales?
here's what I'll say, Paul. Here's what I'll say. If you count the $10 Creature Creator, it goes to 3.2, so it does surpass it.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
So-
interesting because I bought the Creature Creator for $10. Interesting.
So
Okay.
yeah, I'm not counting that because it wasn't the full price, but that would be like counting DLC basically.
Yeah.
All right, no one got that. All right, higher score: Crash Nitro Kart or Diddy Kong Racing?
Oh shit, that's a good one. Damn.
I just feel like Diddy Kong is it, man. I'm going Diddy Kong just to support my man Diddy and my man Banjo in there too.
I gotta.
You're friends
gotta
with Sean
support.
Combs?
It's Nintendo, so I know Diddy is like already got it, but I gotta go with my boy Crash.
P.
I'm
Diddy.
going Crash.
I want to say Crash.
All right, Crash Nitro Kart 70, Diddy Kong Racing 88.
Oh,
Oh
bitch!
my god.
Come on,
88.
guys. Diddy Kong Racing, one of the greatest racing games of all time. One of the greatest games of all time.
It was a fantastic.
It was
game.
good.
It was really good.
Both
at
of them
me.
were fun. Yeah.
More units: Dark Souls 2 or Dark Souls 3?
Dark Souls 3. Dark Souls 2.
Dark Souls 3.
2 is the biggest pile of shit.
Yeah, 3 was a really
it's not.
popular game. I'm thinking 3.
Dark Souls 3, 10 million units. Dark Souls 2, 2.5.
Oh my god, I forgot how big
Yeah.
Dark Souls 3 was, man.
It's rough.
God.
That's rough.
Higher score: The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time or Super Mario 64?
Oh come on! And I can't
Damn,
even look
bro.
this up.
This is gonna be like a
Come on.
percentage point, bro.
Yeah, you're
98
fucking
to
with me.
97.
Yeah, you're fucking with me here.
This
I
is,
gotta go with Super Mario 64. It changed games.
I'm going 64.
64.
Okay, so this one I will say before I reveal it, this was not as close as you guys thought. Okay.
Wow.
Super Mario 64, a 94. Ocarina of Time, a 99. It's one of the highest rated
disagree.
games of all time.
I hard disagree.
It might
not even
actually
good.
be the highest rated game on
God,
Metacritic.
Mario 64 is
Mario
so
64 is
good.
goated, bro.
And no one had even done
Mhm.
anything like that. Man, that's crazy.
Ah, no, it's crazy. People
But
don't.
at the time, I guess, like you're already like, hey, we just did Mario. We did it a couple years ago. Like it doesn't have the cult, like it doesn't have like that 20, 30 years of excitement. And you're just like, they did it. They fixed it. They like made the perfect N64.
I
game,
think
whatever.
I think there was also a little bit of weird resistance to 3D platforming though too, and that could be
Fair.
part of what the there might have been a couple lower scores in the bunch, whereas with
kinda what I'm
Ocarina of
thinking
Time
too,
there
right?
were
Like,
none.
Sure.
when you look at like 20, 30 years, right? It's easy to go back and say that was like the best, craziest thing that ever happened. But yeah.
More units, Crash Bash or Mario Party.
Mario Party.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Mario Party.
Mario Party.
Mario Party 2.7 million units. Crash Bash 3.4 million
What?
units.
What?
Wow. I
Why?
thought this might be a trick, but oh my God.
The entire Mario Party series, if it wasn't on Wii, it really didn't sell as well as you would have expected.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Final round. What are we at? How many have you gotten right, Mike?
One?
Josh, what about you?
3.
I'm a 3.
Wow, okay. So this could potentially break
It's either
the
of
tie.
us. Yeah.
Higher score. Banjo-Kazooie, Nuts and Bolts, or Nintendogs, Chihuahua and Friends.
You pop in. Here I am thinking it's a good game, and then you say nuts and bolts, and it's like my whole world crumbles.
I'm gonna go with nuts and bolts.
I don't know, man. Listen, Nintendo. If it was just Nintendogs, I think maybe. But is that like a DLC for Nintendogs, Chihuahua and
So
Friends, or is it the original
Nintendogs,
game?
the original DS Nintendogs had 3 different versions, and Chihuahua and Friends was one of them. I had Dachshund and Friends.
Oh, see, that would have been mine as a Dachshund owner. I gotta
man.
say, like
It was the other one
Chihuahua, I
was
think, is
Lab and Friends.
popular. Oh, see that? Okay, so you just gave it to me. So it's nuts and bolts, because if it was Lab and Friends,
I
it
will
would've
tell
got
you,
a nine-
all
would've
the
got 99.
Nintendogs games had the same score.
Okay, then never mind. Okay,
Damn it.
I need a second. So you're for sure nuts and bolts there, Josh?
I'm just gonna go for it. Why not?
I need to
Banjo
like do one of
Kazooie.
those like millionaire things. They're gonna have to like do a cut because I'm gonna spend. 3 hours. Like,
That's rough.
Can I phone a friend?
You can't. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I was gonna.
I was gonna call my dad.
Yeah. He actually was. He's actually a dev on Nintendogs. He's pretty bitter about how things went down.
My uncle in Nintendo. My
I didn't
uncle.
know exactly what my uncle at Nintendogs.
He really wanted a pit bull and friends, but they didn't think that would sell.
So he sicked his pit bull on him. That showed.
Reggie was never the
So-
same after that.
His body was not ready.
Oh my god.
No, but yeah, definitely I like that a lot. So I have instead of I have an uncle at Nintendo. It's I have an uncle at Nintendogs. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go with Nintendogs. Keep it spicy, make it more interesting.
What do we say, Mike?
Oh, Nintendogs.
And
100%.
Josh, you were Nuts and Bolts?
No doubt.
Yeah, I think I'm off, but
I just want
fuck
to
it.
do whatever. Like I want to
Give
do
me-
whatever Josh isn't doing. Yeah.
Give me the kazoo.
Banjo-Kazooie, Nuts and Bolts, a 79.
Okay,
Higher than I was expecting.
it's gonna be like a 95.
Nintendogs, Chihuahua and Friends, an 83.
Here's the thing: the
Fucking
dogs lick
dogs.
the screen, and it's like it's licking you, and it made sounds, and you could go through the microphone at the
Can you like breathe at him? You
100. Yeah, you
They're
could
like-
100 on my score.
All right.
dog
So
imagine?
Paul,
Can't do that with nuts and bolts.
Paul wins.
Could have been
yeah.
Dachshund friends that would have been there.
Yeah, you can't blow on
An
Kazooie.
idea for Banjo 3E, maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe
but-
Banjo licks the screen.
Nuts and bolts. You can put a fridge on wheels, boys. Hear me out.
I think most fridges are on wheels. I gotta say, like a lot of them. To be fair,
My issue with Nintendogs was there wasn't enough vehicle content. You know, I couldn't
Yeah,
drive
that's the
around
problem.
like I could in Nuts and Bolts.
there just wasn't nearly enough useless vehicle content.
Yeah, that's a good point. Nintendogs, Fords and Chevys, please. Next.
Yes.
Yeah. Nintendogs Tesla Plaid Edition.
All right.
Oh, Jesus.
Paul wins.
All right.
Let's move on. Audience
Always.
questions. Every week we address 2 or 3 audience questions, comments, or concerns. We take questions from our supporters over on Patreon at patreon.com/goodnightgroofs. Leave your questions in the comments section of the previous episode's post. The $1 tier will get you access to question submissions. We also take submissions from gamegroofs@gmail.com and in the YouTube comments. But our patrons will always have priority. All right, I've made up one of these questions myself. This one comes...
Don't tell us which one.
Yeah, okay. I won't. This one comes via gamegroofs@gmail.com this week.
I think it's this one.
This is from Ray. Hi, Groofs.
Ray?
So someone asked a question. Hi, Groofs. I've recently picked up Breath of the Wild after ignoring it for years. As a more casual player, I got stuck last time with all the broken weapons and in the middle of a million enemies. Now I'm back with a brand new save. I found myself following the story really well, but got stuck at a ridiculous must-do boss that killed me instantaneously. This happened about 50 plus times before I took my family's advice and moved on. My frustration was too much. I found myself Googling around to figure out what to do to the next next to level myself up. I'm now deep in IGN guides and relying on them entirely. As I figure out, I'm having real difficulty reading. I'm now deep in.
You wrote it.
I didn't write this
Whoever
one.
wrote this, it's
This is definitely Josh's question, right?
Let me finish the question. I'm now deep in IGN guides and relying on them entirely as I figure out what shrines to tackle next, which brings me to my question. What do you guys think about using guides to get through a game? Paul, what do you think?
Great. Thank you for coming to me first. Love it. I do it all the time. I think we're going to get some really different answers here, especially from people who like to play the game on hard. But I will tell you, I'm a big guide guy. I don't like games to be frustrating to me at all. I like them easy. I like them giving me the answers. I'm joking, but I do like I don't want to get frustrated by a game, especially because most of the games I play aren't very intense. Here's a good case in point, and this is something you'll find funny, Matt. Matt and a friend of ours, Spencer, were playing the Tall Tales on Sea of Thieves a few weeks ago. We played the first one, and there were a lot of puzzles and like weird things you define.
By the way, Paul,
like,
I knew what I know.
Obviously, I wasn't very surprising about it. I feel like Spencer might not have known. He seemed to buy it more. But he said, our friend, he's very like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to use guides. I want to like find it organically. I don't want to, maybe if at the very end we can't find it, but we spent like hours doing this stuff. And so eventually, Matt, I like how you just know that I'm not smart enough to figure this shit out.
I know when you suddenly go quiet and you're secretly reading a guide, and then all of a sudden you have the answer.
Like, I think it's over here. I think I saw like a thing.
Your character hasn't been moving for the last 2 minutes, but suddenly you have the answer.
I just tried to find this like camp, and I thought I'd just go over it one more time, and then all of a sudden that's where the body was.
It's a
and
miracle.
You know what? We went along so much quicker, and everything actually happened. I gave it 20 minutes for us to find the answer, but after like 20 minutes of finding the answer, we were all getting kind of grumpy. So I think it's good to sneak in a little bit of a guide. But then, you move on to the next part and you try without a guide again, and you probably get it. You'll go another few, and then I'll take a guide if I get really frustrated. But yeah, I find for me, if I get frustrated, I might take a little look-see. Depends on the game, but ultimately for like puzzles and things like that, I just find it makes it a little more fun.
I'll give my answer next because I'm probably, if we're going along the line here, I'll probably be next in line. I've gradually gone away from using guides over the years. I used to really use them a lot just because it used to be more about like enjoying the story bits in a game and just seeing the world. But now, I've expanded my horizons a little bit more. So yeah, I really don't use guides much anymore unless I get really frustrated about something or when I'm really stuck. Like Ghost of Tsushima, I'm like I was saying on the replay the other day, I'm like 30 hours in. I haven't used it yet for anything. Pretty proud of myself. Like everyone though,
I bet those boxes without a guide.
Exactly. Like everyone though, I'll look at trophy guides after I finish a game and I want to clean things up to get the platinum trophy. I'm looking at trophy guides because it would be insane if you didn't. There are some crazy things that you might never figure out if you don't look at a guide. So, used to use guides more, getting away from it now, still use it for the trophy guides like everyone. Josh, what about you?
I mean, I'm generally fine with them. I don't use them typically. If a game is frustrating me to the point that I want to turn it off, I'm going to go use a guide then, just kind of as a fuck you to the game.
Yeah.
more than anything else, just to like spite it. But I guess that's just my hateful heart. I don't know. Or I mean, it just depends on the game too. Like you find me a person that's gonna run through old school RuneScape without using a fucking quest guide. That you have found God. The second coming of Jesus has already happened because they have done every quest without a guide in RuneScape, and it's near impossible. Like, I think in those scenarios it's cool. But if it's like a Dark Souls boss, just try it. Just do it and see if you can figure it out. World of Warcraft, same deal. Work through it. While there are plenty of guides out there, believe me, and everyone reads them, myself included, it can be gratifying to figure it out on your own and see kind of what you can find out about it. But I mean, if I'm getting frustrated to the point that if I'm typically playing a game, like I don't remember what game it was in particular. Let's just say Mass Effect Andromeda. They, for some stupid reason, put Space Sudoku in their video game. Awful game to begin with, but regardless, like it was just an awful, terrible puzzle in the way. So instead of like trying to figure that out, I was just like, all right, where's the guide at? Like, I'm just gonna look this up, punch it in, done, get it out of here. That's usually what I do. If it's frustrating, I'm just get it out of the way. I want to keep playing my game.
I did that with all those Spider-Man PS4 puzzles where you had to go like Doc Ock's lab and do all these insane electric circuit puzzles, and they played this dumbass music.
You could also just skip those.
Swing around. You had to wait a little bit of prerequisite time though to skip them, and Googling it and doing the puzzle based on the guide was quicker than waiting.
They must have learned their lesson with those because for the puzzle sections and Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, you could literally just go into the menu and do skip puzzle.
And they didn't have a Miles Morales at all, so it's like, forget it.
Josh, as far as the RuneScape stuff, does Rune HQ still exist? Because that's what I used like 20 years ago.
It's like Rune HQ, Rune Wiki, I think. It's been a minute since I've hopped on.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a wiki now.
Cutting trees, basically. But yeah, it's what literally everybody uses, and it's honestly what turned me off from the game. Like the fact that, you want to complete all the quests? Well. Hope you're ready for your second monitor to be nothing but fucking Rune Wiki for the rest of the day.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's all what's the joke in RuneScape is like maximum efficiency. Like you always have to be
efficiency. Yeah. No XP waste, baby.
Yes, exactly. Mike, what are your thoughts on this topic?
Oh boy.
Mike's like, I use a guide for every game. I'm never not.
Mike's like, I write the guides.
Yeah.
I don't. Okay, so after getting personally attacked about that comment about Sudoku, I'm going to pivot hard from my middle of the road answer and say, no, fuck guides.
Good. Yeah, I love it.
No, like I don't use guides for the most part. There is I could probably count on my hand the games that I've used guides for in the last decade. And for me, and this is kind of like a cocky ego thing maybe, but like I feel like if I need to use a guide for your game, it's probably designed poorly or the puzzle's designed wrong. Cough cough. Dishonored 2, your puzzle was designed wrong. I also did that stupid password puzzle because I was determined to beat it, and like I know how to do a logic puzzle. And the logic puzzle, we did it correctly, but the solution was wrong. The solution didn't match the puzzle that was given. And when I looked up the solution, everyone was just like, yeah, the solution doesn't match the puzzle. At which point I'm just like, you're supposed to go find the answer. It's like an item in the game. But I was like, no, I want to try this riddle. It's a riddle. It should have an answer. It doesn't. Cool.
And the lesson was that some tasks aren't worth doing.
I will say it worked. It worked on mine. It took a long time to figure out, but it worked.
Did not work on mine, and I was very mad.
I remember.
I was big mad, big mad. But yeah, like, no, I don't use guides, but the game for the most part, in like Guild Wars 2, I'll use a guide if I'm trying to go get an achievement on collect 30 coins on this map where they're all hidden, and I'm like, I'm not searching this map for hours.
Right.
Tell me where they are. I don't care. But I do strongly believe that if a game gets you stuck for so long that you need a guide, the game is probably designed poorly. At
to be fair, that might be you though. That's probably you. Just
it could be you.
For me, it's that I'm probably,
Right.
the game's probably right. I am wrong. I am
Sure.
inadequate for this
But
game.
like previous example, like Dark Souls and Bloodborne, where you have to know to teleport at that
Right.
point, and the game doesn't tell you. Like, to me, that's, I'm not gonna say that's all. Let me back off a little bit. I'm not saying that it's shit design for a game. It's just kind of shitty on the player to feel like, how am I supposed to know that if you don't actually like give any hint to it?
Right.
Games like that, kind of rough. If I were to play a game like Myst, which I might play when they do the remake, because I played it back in the day, I don't think I would use a guide for it, because like that's kind of the point. Same thing with like Witness and
Right.
other puzzle games. But yeah, I don't think using a guide ruins the game experience per se. I just personally like not using them. I will say I don't like when streamers use guides on stream. That irks me.
ask the viewers.
Right. Like, if you need help, just ask the viewers.
And
Or
then they can look at the
figure it
guide
out.
for you.
Yeah,
And it doesn't
Right,
look as bad.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
There you go.
Exactly. No, but like, yeah. I've used a couple guides, just not a lot.
All right. Good answers. And then went in the correct order, probably. All right.
Sudoku's a great game.
It's not. All right.
No word search.
Next
No word
question
search, all I'll say.
from, this comes from Sir Ask-a-Lot. No reaction. Okay. It was that bad.
So the other one
Um,
actually was a real question that someone
Yeah,
asked?
it was a real question.
Oh!
Holy shit! Now I feel like an asshole.
That was such a wow. That was so mean.
Well, we just lost a listener.
You
Thank
answered
you,
your
Ray.
question.
Ray.
You know, give
All
us $1. You could spare
I got-
$1. Okay.
All right, here we
I
go.
got so confused by the Goodnight Groofs at
Me too, when
gmail.com.
When
I
you
was
said
like,
it came from
oh.
gamegroups@gmail.com, I thought you said from, not to gamegroups.
No,
It
no.
I thought you meant like they sent it in. I was
Maybe,
like, oh,
maybe that's what I
you.
said, but it's not what I meant.
Yeah,
All right. And you should be able to read my mind. Okay, so
it's true. I should be fair.
all right, let's get this question. With the Steam Deck coming later this year, I wanted to ask what you guys think about handheld gaming in general. What's your experience with handheld gaming, and have you played games on the go more or less over the years as they go on? Let's go to Paul, because I know he's gonna have an answer ready for this one.
I can't stop thinking about Ray. I feel real bad. I'm so sorry. Great email. But yeah, handheld gaming. Listen, I love it. I'd love to do more of it. But you know what? You're saying I have an answer ready for this? Not really. I haven't really done a whole lot of handheld gaming in the last few years. I'm probably one of the people who haven't really ever bought a Switch. Out of the few people that are left in the world. I want to. I just haven't had enough of an incentive. Steam Deck's really up my alley. I'm really excited for it. But at this point, probably most of my online handheld gaming is from mobile smartphones. I've done a lot of xCloud. I beta tested that. I mean, like a lot of people, and did some Xbox game streaming. That was fun. But overall, I think that a lot of the phones have like the 20:9 or like 19:9 aspect ratio, and it's just too long to properly play a stream game, like unless your screen is really big.
Good point.
I think honestly like 6 or 7 inches on like a Switch or on like a Steam Deck are actually a lot bigger than 6 or 7 inches on a phone when you look at like usable space and how long they are. So at this point I'm kind of waiting. So I haven't really done a lot of mobile gaming. The last handheld game console I had was probably a Nintendo DS Lite, and I really didn't play it a whole lot. So that's me for handheld gaming. Not a lot. I'm waiting on the Steam Deck. I think that could be the entrance point, but it's hard for me to sink the cash.
Mike, what about you?
So handheld gaming started with the giant brick of a Game Boy, then got a Game Boy Color. Then I stopped. I didn't get a Game Boy Advance. I didn't really get a handheld until the Switch. I guess you could technically say the Wii U was a handheld in some capacity, but I had a DS.
It's a handheld in the way that a tomato's a fruit.
Right, exactly. Well,
Good point.
it tomato is a fruit.
Yeah, but it's like it's kind of weird that it's a fruit. You know what I mean? Like,
No, it's weird that it's a vegetable because it is a fruit.
No, it's clearly a vegetable. It's weird that it's actually secretly been a fruit this whole time. Like,
It's like an awkward fruit.
okay, new
Anyways.
question. What do we feel about tomato? What's the best tomato product and why is it sauce?
Guys,
Go.
we owe Sir Ask-a-Lot an answer to his question. So
It's not Ray. I know which one's you now.
I got a DS Lite, then I had a DS, then I had a 3DS, then I got the Switch. I played my DS quite a bit in college. I know that a bunch of people in middle school used to play the Super Mario 64 port for the DS, like in
Yeah.
class.
so good.
We would play it on like in the desk because we had just like the open desk.
Oh yeah.
And so we would just play that together because only one person needed a copy. But yeah, I started playing more handheld in college because I'd just be sitting on the couch downstairs and just playing like Pokemon or something. And then after college, handheld gaming kind of went downhill. Like I have a Switch, but I don't really use it in handheld form unless I'm going somewhere on a trip. Like I have to physically be going on a plane or a road trip in order to use it in handheld form. And like I'm not gonna take it to work with me. So and right now I don't go to work. I work at home, so it's just yeah, it's
And yet the Switch sold more in 2020 than it has thus far. Weirdly.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't do a lot of it, and I kind of see it going further downhill. Like I don't see myself doing more of it as I get older, which is why I'm kind of not caring about the Steam Deck because I have a PC. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
Josh, what about you?
I'm probably mostly in the same camp. I did a little bit of the DS, but it never really caught on to me. I think a golf club fell on it and broke it, and I just was like, well, that sucks. And I just kind of forgot about it. Rip my Nintendo. Charlie, I'll see you in the afterlife, brother. But after that, I think my next one was like the Vita, because I was like, all right, I'm getting all up in this like PlayStation ecosystem. I'm ready for it. Like I've got the PlayStation 4, I got the Vita.
Yeah, baby.
Let's see how this goes. And then I played the Vita like 4 times and never touched it again, and just ended up selling it. It's weird. I just have this like when I'm at the desk or at the couch, I'm playing a video game, and when I walk away, I just want to be away from it. It's like my hobby that I like to sit down and play. We have desk, computer, whatever it may be. And when I'm away and like out having a beer, chilling with the wife, doing something else outside of here, I just want to be separated from it. I love it, but I need a healthy separation. And that I think the handheld gaming always kind of kept me a little too close, and I wanted to be a little separate. It was like my healthy way of being like, all right, you love video games, but we don't have to completely be like all of it at 24/7. Because I did take the Switch to work every now and again for like my hour lunch breaks back when I was in Florida. And it was nice, but it always just felt more cumbersome and a pain in the ass than really worth it. So probably won't even get the Steam Deck either. I just, it's I think it's awesome, cool option for people to have. I think it eats into that separation I have of like being away from the desk and at the desk. So, but I get it, and I'm glad the option's there for people, especially like road trips. It's just I drive every time, so
Like Mike, I started on the old brick Game Boy. Started with Tetris at the dentist office. I think that was probably one of the first games on Game Boy. And, then the first one I owned, the Game Boy Color, when I got Pokemon Blue version.
Did you have Atomic Purple?
I did, yeah. I did.
So
Same.
Atomic Purple. My first Game Boy was Game Boy Color, Atomic Purple, Pokemon Blue.
Yeah,
First
there
game.
you go.
Nice.
Look at that.
Nice.
Yeah, I got it. I think I got it
Unique
for,
story, as if that wasn't a lot, Bill, but still.
I think it was some birthday present. And I remember playing the game and like being so frustrated because I couldn't figure out how to get it out of the house. And then
Same.
eventually I was like, it looks like a welcome mat. Maybe if I just walk against the wall, it'll go out. And then it worked. And then I was like, okay, well, awesome. But it took me forever to figure this out. It's like Bloodborne in the graveyard.
It's just like that.
Exactly. It's exactly the same. And then my world was changed, and I understood video games from there on. Clearly not with my Bloodborne escapades. But yeah, something super nostalgic about Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and Game Boy SP for me. Just playing Pokemon with my buddies on the back patio. Just everyone's hanging out together, playing Pokemon, getting the link cables out to do trades and do battles, and just really good times. I mean, I played almost all of my gaming as a kid was handheld. So just a lot of Game Boy. And as time has gone on, I've gotten away from it. These days, most of the handheld gaming I do, like Paul was saying, is mobile. You know,
And that brings us back to AFK Arena.
Yeah.
AFK Arena has over 1 million players concurrently. And you too.
Most of my Switch play is in docked mode, like Mike was saying, so I'm not really using that in handheld a ton. The only time I really extensively used it in handheld was when I was playing Super Mario Odyssey in a hotel for a work trip one time. I've always really, really wanted to get more into handheld gaming again, but every time I do, the quality of the games just feels like it doesn't quite live up to the level that you get from like a regular console experience or PC experience. And so it's like, well,
Steam Day.
Exactly. And so it's like I'm not really traveling around a ton. So like if I'm at my house anyway, I'm going to play something on the console or on the PC instead of handheld. So I know there are people that love handheld games, and you know, they do different things that you don't get in console games oftentimes. So it's sort of just, it's a totally different ecosystem. But I just feel like it's hard for me to get into it unless I'm always traveling around, or unless it's the days of being a kid where I want to bring my games with me everywhere so that I can play with my buddies. And nowadays kids you don't even need the link cable. So you just play over the internet from each other's houses, you know? So that takes away from it as well. But yeah, just one of those things that I feel like as I've gotten older, I've grown out of, just because it's not like a pervasive part of, you know, what my peers are doing, you know? Anyway, we all good on that one?
Gravy baby.
All right, let's move on to a new segment. This one called Tickle My Listicle. Yes, you heard that right. Tickle My Listicle. In Tickle My Listicle, the panel is going to put together a list to fit around a certain topic, and then we're going to discuss our picks right here on the show. We'll take turns sharing our picks for each round until we get to our number one pick in the category. This week's Listicle is as follows. Our top 3 games that we unexpectedly ended up liking or even loving. Mike, let's go to you first. Your first pick.
So this was really difficult because, like, if this was top 3 games that you unexpectedly ended up disliking, that would have been peak. But like, I don't know. There's like, I went through not my entire Steam library.
That would take years.
But I went through quite a bit. I think number 1, and this is going to be an interesting answer, I think, Gears of War. So, and my reasoning is that when Gears of War came out, there's another game that came out. I'm trying to think of the name of it because I can't remember off the top of my head. But it was a third-person shooter that took place in the snow, and there was a heat mechanic.
Lost Planet?
Lost Planet.
Oh,
yes.
yeah, okay.
And I really wanted Lost Planet. And for some reason, my parents ended up getting me Gears of War instead. And I was very like, okay.
It's a much better game.
Listen.
We need to get you the more violent game, Mike. Okay?
It's like there's a chainsaw in it, Mike. This is the better game.
I thought Lost Planet looked really cool. I've looked at Lost Planet now that I'm, older, and I'm like, oh, thank God I didn't play that game. So dodged a bullet, but like I was kind of bummed out, and then I played Gears of War. I was like, wow, this game's great. And I really like the Gears of War series, even their shitty ones. Like, I kind of want to play Gears Tactics because that's very much in my wheelhouse. Yeah, It's an odd answer, but like,
I
yeah,
like
when
it.
I first got Gears, I was like, oh, this is not what I wanted. I wanted Lost Planet, and then yeah,
I like
it's a
it.
good game. So thank God.
That's a great way to start this segment. Great, good pick, good and good explanation. Josh, what about you?
So we get a total of 3, right?
Yep.
And I know we're just doing our for okay. So I guess my first was one that was just like a PS Plus that just came out on PlayStation 4 whenever there weren't a lot of games. It was Flower. Uh, I don't know if any of y'all ever played Flower. It was by the people that made Journey. And I had never played Journey at the time. But Flower was just like, well, I'm not doing anything. What's this? And I download the game and I'm like, this is goofy. Am I even gonna like, what even is this? And you just like spawn into this world and you literally just like hold the X and a little pedal just whoop and just pops up, and then you just use your controller to just like steer the like pedal around, and you gather all of these little flowers. As you gather the flowers, it makes you satisfy a little boom, and the soundtrack is just like the most nostalgic thing ever. Like I literally fell in love with it. I love Flower to death. Not even like, I love that game. And if you haven't played it, please do. It's great. If you like Journey, go play Flower. It's not quite as good as Journey, but it's still great.
Yeah, I have it, but I think it was part of a Journey bundle, but I haven't played it.
It's a lot of fun, and it caught me by surprise. Like, I've replayed it probably 5 or 6 times, just to like sit on the couch, blast the music, and just like watch this little pedal. It's just the most relaxing and like chill game. I love it to death.
Nice. Paul, what about you? You're muted.
You muted.
Muted.
Still muted, man. That button is sensitive or not sensitive, depending on the moment. Listen. Listen. Yeah. I guess I'll just say, Dead Cells was a game I didn't think I play a lot of Dead Cells lately when there's something else to play. That was a game I thought I would hate, mainly because I never played any sort of roguelike or roguelite game in general. And I know it's probably cliche, but I just thought like dying over and over again would make me super pissed, especially as someone who I don't really like dying in games, losing progress, going back. But turns out the gameplay loop in roguelites is really fun. So yeah, I mean, I have a great time. Again, kind of a basic answer, I guess, a little bit, just because I think that's how a lot of people responded to those games when they first realized them. But I remember resisting for a super long time, and it wasn't until last year that I finally started to play any roguelike or roguelite games, and that was kind of my entryway. And it was cool to be able to love dying and getting something new, as opposed to getting really pissed every time I died.
And that's really sort of the true difference between a roguelite and a roguelike. With the
Yeah.
roguelite, you die, you're still making progress.
Yes,
With
exactly.
a true roguelike, it's frustrating.
Yeah, exactly.
My first pick is Red Dead Redemption 2. Kind of a weird pick because I wasn't a huge fan of the first one. I just didn't really love it, and I never finished it because of that. So I thought that I would like Red Dead 2 just because I liked the whole cowboy theme. I thought it was a beautiful looking game, but I didn't realize that I would love it. Like, it ended up being a top 5, arguably top 3 game of all time for me. And I mean, anytime that you're going into a game thinking, maybe I'll like it, maybe I won't, and then it ends up being top 3 or top 5 for you, I think you have to say that you unexpectedly ended up loving it. So that's my first one, Red Dead 2.
Nice.
Mike,
Nice.
your second pick.
Oh boy. So number 2 isn't one specific game. It's kind of just a game genre. Any type of simulator game that is just dumb simulator. Like the number one that I started with was Stream, and I just loved House Flipper, and then that went into Cooking Simulator,
So good.
and then it went into Power Washing Simulator, which I don't like as much. But yeah, any of those dumb simulator games, I surprisingly love them. They're just so satisfying. I don't know why. They're just too good. Oh, WoW is a good simulator for fishing. Really enjoyed that part of
You did fish
WoW,
a
and
lot.
that only that part of WoW, no other part. But yeah, no, simulator games in general. Surprisingly love them.
I wish I had you around when I was trying to get the Ashbringer skin in Legion.
No
It
kidding.
was literally all I did in WoW was fish for 3 days straight, and it's like such a low random drop. It's really unfair for that.
That's all
for
I
that
did
skin.
for 2 weeks straight. So
Well, there you go.
Mike's actually sitting on 5 Ashbringers.
Josh, what about you? Number 2.
So I'll say the best for last. So second is Lord of the Rings: Battle for Middle Earth 2. It was an
That
RT.
was a great
It was a
game.
fantastic. Keep in mind, I hate RTS games.
Yeah.
Mike can attest to this wholly. Anybody else that knows me can.
I mean, I'm not surprised.
I hate them. And Battle for Middle Earth 2 just captured me. Like playing in like Helm's Deep is like the Wood Elves, and like making your defenses so strong that literally no one could get by you was just the most satisfying thing ever. I don't know, I liked it. It was fun. It caught me by surprise, and I was like, I still try to look for it to like buy it to go back and play it, and it's just nowhere. You can't get it really. Like it's just gone now.
Wow, I like that pick. That's good. Paul, number 2.
Number 2 is another game that I kind of came upon recently that I turned out to really love. I had a friend who played a lot of 4X games. A lot of, we called them his boring games. And he would just get real deep into Victoria and all those kinds of things, Hearts of Iron. And it was just a slog to even try to watch him play it. He actually had like a weird niche on YouTube for a while because the weirdos who watch that stuff. But no hate, but also hate. That stuff's crazy boring. No, huge respect if you can play those games because they're actually really interesting and deep. I just like I don't have the attention span. But I played Crusader Kings 3 and totally hooked. That game is amazing. It's the 4X for those who can't actually run in a nation. It's so cool. I mean, you can be born a strange, weird ruler, and then you marry into different families. And I mean, it's such a human story, but also there's like massive geopolitical ramifications to everything you do. Blast. Can't recommend it enough if you're ever thinking, I wish I could play a 4X game, but all I want to do is just like make the stupid decisions and not have to actually like figure out how much steel costs. Give it a shot. It's a lot of fun.
Is that like a good baby's first version?
I think
of
so.
like-
Yeah, it's a little complicated, but ultimately, yeah, I think it's more the human aspects and less the systems aspects.
Because I know Crusader Kings 2 was like pretty complicated.
Yeah, but I think still comparatively to some of those games, it was a little bit easier, and then 3 is
okay.
very, very good to entry level, and it's free on Game Pass, so worth a
Nice.
shot.
All right. Well, I'm now noticing that all my picks are on the PlayStation 4. Maybe why I weirdly became like with the PlayStation 4, I wasn't such a Sony fanboy until the PlayStation 4 because I ended up liking so many games there. The Order 1886 is my number 2
Whoa.
pick. So I played this game. I took it slow over a weekend and still only took the weekend. It's a pretty short game. It's like 6 hours, maybe 7 hours if you're taking your time. And I truly, truly love this game. I bought it, and it wasn't even super old at this time, and I bought it for like $5 on the PlayStation Store. They were just giving it away, pretty much. It turned out to be an awesome experience. It really pushed the PS4 graphically early on in the life cycle, and the story and the world building were super interesting. I would watch a movie based on this world. Super interesting, really compelling. We're never getting a sequel because it kind of bombed, and that studio's doing other stuff now. So that's kind of disappointing. Got a lot of hate because it was a full-priced game and it was so short, and really that's why it got so much hate. But if you can get it on sale, like if you're buying this game for like $30 or whatever, it's a really good game. Anything under $30 and it's a great value. Still looks great. Story's awesome. The whole scenario is awesome. Really recommend it. Fun game.
Nice. Unexpected. Good answer.
Mike.
Number 3, it's tough. I don't really know. I guess I've been like pivoting back and forth on this. I guess the answer might actually be, and this is more retrospect, not really at the time that it wasn't unexpected, but Guild Wars 2. Because I kind of hate like every single MMO I've played after Guild Wars 2. And I understand why I like Guild Wars 2. but I feel like if I played WoW and then went to Guild Wars 2, I wouldn't like it. I'm not really certain as to why I like Guild Wars 2 as an MMO because I just don't really like the genre of MMO, it seems. Or at the very least, I don't like the offerings that are currently out there. But yeah, I'll put that down because I'm not really certain for a third pick.
I like it. Plays on some
Dig it.
themes throughout the episode. Josh.
So it's got to be the Mass Effect trilogy. Just went ahead and took the whole trilogy because I thought I was gonna hate it. I looked at Mass Effect 1. I slept on it for forever. By then, basically the entire trilogy was out. The awful, shitty ending for 3 had been fixed. All the DLC was out. So it was very much a late bloomer. And I basically picked up Mass Effect 1, and I didn't put down the entire trilogy until God knows when. Beat all the DLC, finished everything, started right back over with Mass Effect 1, played through it again.
Wow.
Didn't stop.
Wow.
I love Mass Effect. It's like probably, as far as story-based games, probably my favorite, like top tier number 1. So it's gonna sit firmly there. And I fucking love that series, which is why Andromeda broke my heart, you piece of shit garbage game.
Awesome. Great pick. Paul.
Come on, you had PB. You didn't love PB?
The facial animations of really just didn't draw me in.
I played recently on Game Pass. It's been fixed a little bit, but it's still pretty terrible. Yeah, for me, it was probably again kind of picking a series, but for me it was the Forza Horizon series. I went into Forza Horizon 2. At this point I had an Xbox 360. I had no real incentive to upgrade to an Xbox One. I wasn't particularly interested in racing games. I played like some old, I played some Burnout and stuff like that, but it was never something that was super interesting to me. And then along comes Forza Horizon 2. My buddy has an Xbox One. I play the demo on his Xbox One. Churches starts playing. There's like indie music. You're driving down this beautiful coast highway. All of a sudden, you can just go wherever you want. It's responsive but arcadey and forgiving for a noob like me. Really, really cool. I immediately the next day went out, bought an Xbox One. I made sure I got Forza Horizon 2 because it was coming out the next day. I got Forza Horizon 2. My buddy and I just sat with 2 different TVs in his basement with our 2 Xbox Ones and played Forza Horizon 2 together all night long. It was a super good experience. And then I went and I played that game for probably more than I've played any other game. I have hundreds of hours in Forza Horizon 2. I definitely didn't play 3 and 4 as much, but certainly a ton. And weirdly, those are just some of my favorite games I've ever played. I'm not a car guy per se, but I love car models, and I'm a very baseline car guy, and I love the fantasy of the car life, and so it's just totally a blast for me to have that kind of realism with also not having to actually deal with the realism, all the upside of the realism with none of the downside. So totally awesome, super hyped for Horizon 5. I'll probably play it on Xbox One, but it very well might finally push me to get a Series S just to kind of get things a little bit quicker, get those loading times down. But definitely went into it thinking I was not going to care at all. My buddy says, "Hey, listen, we're going to play this racing game, and it'll make you buy an Xbox One." And I didn't believe him, and it did. So
That's funny. I think like even people who don't like racing games, like everyone has the one racing game that they still really like for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I like that one. My final one is Persona 5.
Yeah.
I typically don't like turn-based combat outside of Pokemon, and I specifically don't like turn-based JRPGs outside of Pokemon. And Persona 5 just like drew me in. The story was like classic cheesy anime. The characters were just like really likable. It's a ridiculous game. It's like jazz music the entire time, just like nonstop assaulting you. But for some reason, it was the perfect thing for that game. I have no idea why. There's like a bunch of life sim stuff in it. It's so not supposed to be a game that I like, but I loved it. I will say like I didn't finish it because the game is so long, but put 35, maybe up to 40 hours in it and had a really good time. And kind of want to pick up what is it? Persona 5 Royal? Is that the
Royale, yeah.
Yeah, the expanded version. Kind of want to pick that up, actually. I know there's rumors that Persona 6 might be announced here in the next coming weeks or months or something like that. So I'll be keeping my eyes on that. So that is Tickle my Listicle. Moving on.
Not as dirty as y'all thought, so get your minds out of the gutter. It wasn't that bad.
Moving on to our final segment of the week. We're going to end this week's show with a short roast. I'm going to give the panel a game or a franchise, and they're going to give it a one-line roast. They may love the game, but now is the time to end it with a knockout punch. I'm going to give them an example, and then we'll go into theirs. Welcome to the roast of Call of Duty. Here's mine. Well, I'd use this opportunity to roast the Call of Duty games, but the 12-year-olds in their matchmaking lobbies have already used up all the insults known to man. Mike?
Activision Blizzard is going through probably the worst events in their history, which is a shame that this is following their sustainability award for creating a game franchise made out of 90% recycled material.
Oh, that's a good one. Oh my God.
Very nice.
Shit.
Very nice.
For the jugular.
Paul?
Absolutely.
Call of Duty, the preferred game for drunken male Activision Blizzard employees to enjoy in the lactation room while the pregnant women do all their work for them.
That's just truth. Oh my God.
God damn.
Oh my gosh. All right. It's alleged truth. I'll say that.
Jesus.
Josh.
Golly Moses. Call of Duty, as much as I love you, I gotta give you credit. You took all the shitty gunplay and bloat from all these years and put it into one big fat fucking download file called Warzone that we all fucking hate.
How big is that download at this point?
About 300 gigs.
Jesus Christ. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us here on the Game Groofs podcast, the all-encompassing gaming podcast from the Goodnight Groofs. If you really
I
like
had that one saved up.
If you really like the show, we encourage you to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/goodnightgroofs, where we currently have 3 different tiers available. Any and all support is greatly appreciated and will go a long way in improving all of the Goodnight Groofs. The $3 plus tier will get you access to this very show 2 days early. A special shout out to all our patrons currently supporting us in the $5 plus tier, our honorary Groofs, Ishmael S. and Rachel S. A round of applause, please.
Can you believe it? $5 tier. If we can have 2 people in the $5 tier, I think logically we should have 4 in the $3 tier and 8 in the $1 tier. So let's go. Spirit Bomb style, I'll put my hands up here. Lend me your energy, everyone. Give me those dollars. Give me those group coins. Why do we all do it?
Some cult thing. I don't know.
Stream fail.
Praise be to Groof.
All right. We also ask that you take a couple minutes to drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or leave a like and comment on the YouTube video. Everything helps, guys. Everything
Like
helps.
I said, if you want to drop a negative comment on our YouTube video, have at it. All engagement's good engagement. The more negative, the better, because we'll get some arguments on there.
Make sure to check out goodnightgroofs.com for all of our content. The website is now fixed, where you'll find the blog, GG Replay, this podcast, and more coming soon. Guys, any final thoughts?
Eat your cereal and have good breakfast.
All right, that'll do it for us here today, gentlemen. Thank you for joining me, everyone. Take care.
Good night, groups.
Bye-bye.
Bye.